Yo, what's up fam, and welcome back to the channel. And if this is your first time here, what's up fam? If you enjoy tips and tricks on how to improve your workflow and making better beats in Beatmaker 3 or on your iPad period, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I got lots of stuff coming for you in the future. But today's episode, we're going to talk about a collaboration that I've started with our good friends over there at WavCorp. There's this dope producer by the name of Pyro the God. He reached out to me on behalf of WavCorp and they wanted to offer me their brand new sound kit, Vintage Future Volume 1. So I'm really excited to show you some of the samples that are in here. I can tell already, I've been going through them all day today. I can tell already that these are some really nice, high quality, vintage sounding samples. They are filled with textures and melodies, and I'm gonna just go through them and let y'all see for yourself. And if you're interested, I'm gonna drop a link in the description to where you can get your hands on this sample pack and you can start chopping them up on your iPad and find out all the possibilities that you have with this. So, alright, so check this out. In this sample pack, you get 11 samples, and I'm telling you, man, like, I can't wait to chop up all these mugs, like all of them. This is gonna be crazy. So I'm gonna just go through a couple seconds of each of them and show you what they sound like. By the way, I'm using audio share. I explained this on a Facebook forum or Facebook group that I use audio share to kind of audition my sounds, and if I need to make any changes or any trim any clips or anything like that, I use audio share to trim and fade. You can do that in here. So you can see what I mean by like textures and melodies and tons of stuff to pull from. I'm definitely gonna use that one of these days. Okay. 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 Tons of texture to use. And they even included the BPMs in each sample, so that's pretty dope to use. I got a confession to make. I actually pulled one in because I was so excited to get working. I already pulled one into Beatmaker 3, and this is the original sample. I'm gonna let you guys hear it. You even got the The vinyl crackle texture in the joint, like is so vintage, but it feels like modern, vintage future. You. All right, let me show y'all what I did. What I did with this sample. I imported all those files into Beatmaker 3 already, and they showed up actually in imports folder. So actually what I did was I pulled the seduction sample over into the sample editor. And once I pulled it over into the sample editor, I wanted to match the BPM of the track. So that way, like I say in every video, it matches the global tempo of your project. So you always want to change the BPM to match your sample. So in this case, they actually included the BPM inside the name, inside the title for the wave sample, so that's perfect. So we changed that to 81 beats per minute, and now we have a clean sample, and it starts on the 1. And after I changed the BPM so that it matches up, brought the tune down to -2, and this is what it sounds like. So the next step after I changed the sample down to -2, I set the layer trigger from 1 shot to hold. This is like one of my go-to methods for playing my samples, because I like to play the sample, and when I release it, it cuts off immediately. That way I can have room to play and stop as I please. And you can actually set that release time for when you release that pad. So fortunately, since we have a perfect sample, all we had to do was drag it in and set the beats per minute. I went into slice mode, and then I auto sliced it into 16 pads. So now we have 16 pads where I can play with. If you listen to the original sample, let me see if I can find it. If you listen to the original sample, it plays twice. So what I did was I took this first sample, and then I went over here and hit copy and pasted it here.
Did you accidentally summon me?
No. What? So I pasted the sample. So I pasted the sample here, and I toned that down from -2 to -4. And this is what it sounds like. So then I played it as a song, and this is what it ended up sounding like. And all I did was and then from there I added a bass line and a snap with the kick drum, which you can hear here. I wanted to bring some more samples and some more things to play with inside of this beat. So what I actually did from there is I have an external drive. Well, it's like a power bank. I talked about it in another video. I have an external drive that I use to load up my splice samples on. This is the Mophie Space Station. I found it on Amazon for like $15. It is a portable battery bank, and it has like 32 gigs built into it. It's roughly about the same size as my phone. So I use this for my splice samples. You can hook this directly up to the iPad using a data cable. This is also a data cable that I have as a bracelet. Lightning cable on one end, and a regular USB-A cable on the other end, and it just clips together. I'll link both of these items in the description too if you want to check those out. And you're going to go into the Mophie Space application. So what I did actually is I went into the search part, and I searched for some vocal samples that I had already downloaded.
Said don't you every single time you won't go fooling me twice now, baby. I'm sorry, that's the way it ends. You won't go fooling me twice now, baby.
And that was one of the samples that I actually used. So what I did was hit the share button, and then I can copy it to Beatmaker 3. Once it's copied over to Beatmaker 3, I can either go into my samples and find it, type in the name of the sample that I dropped in here, or I can go into the samples folder.
You won't go fooling me twice now, baby. I'm sorry, that's the way it is, yeah.
So what I did with that sample is actually the same exact process. Zoomed in, set the start time a little bit closer, and I ended up changing the beats per minute to 100 because that too has the beats per minute inside the title. The original sample sounded like this.
You won't go fooling me twice now, baby.
So I took the tune down to -1 so that it can match our project. And this is what it sounds like.
You won't go fooling me twice now, baby. I'm sorry, that's the way it is, yeah.
So not only did it tone stretch, it time stretched to our sample. And after I did that, I copied and pasted the sample to 2 other pads on the layer so that I can manipulate those pads too.
You won't go fooling me twice now, baby. Sorry, that's the way it is.
And now here it is with our original sample.
You won't go fooling me twice now, baby. I'm sorry, that's the way it is. You won't go fooling me twice now, baby. I'm sorry, that's the way it is. You won't go fooling me twice.
And then now all we got to do is piece these things together and sequence our track out into a format that best fits what the application is. So if you're doing it for an artist, for a commercial, that really depends on you. But now you have the elements and a basic foundation, a full song or a full track, and just get creative with it. So in the end, everything ended up sounding like this. Alright, so I hope that was helpful to somebody, and I hope that I showed somebody something that you didn't already know, or maybe I inspired you to do something new or something creative. Don't forget to check out that link in the description. I'll put links in the description of everything I talked about today. Also a link to where you can get your hands on that sample as well, along with some other dope samples from WavCorp. This has been a quick demo with BrandonRico of WavCorp's Vintage Future Volume 1. And feel free to share this with anybody you think might be interested in developing a workflow with the iPad making beats. You never know what could happen if you share these videos. They might be able to ask some questions that you don't even know to ask yet. So once again, I'm BrandonRico. Thanks for rocking with me. Thanks for rocking with the channel. I'll be here every week giving you tips and tricks on how to improve your workflow. Peace. Oh yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe.